Hello, podcast. Let's go. Myself,
Yeah,
Airy, Twisted,
was in the middle
Nain,
of there and I just realized
Talon's just dropped in, and Panzer.
Yay! All of us.
We are going straight into a snippet. Sorry for leaving you all in suspense.
That was the quickest introduction we've perhaps ever been on this. Okay.
Oh, this is the introduction? Is that just on time?
We literally just started.
Nice.
I just started recording
Good
a
timing.
minute ago.
He started recording like 10 seconds before you joined.
Yes.
I am not allowing anybody to mess this up, so I'm just flying through it.
We are
That's
messing it up anyway, so it doesn't matter if you allow it or not.
Right.
Chaos.
I said I would go first. Didn't I?
Shameless plug time, boys.
Always.
Straight away. Which one is mine again?
Merchant Prince.
Merchant Prince.
I hope one of you have read this because I have not. So
I have.
I have. It's cool.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So
Yeah.
one of you can explain after I'm done.
Yes, please.
Is this the joke around one?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, one of them.
One.
Yes. It's basically where Kirito, instead of being a swordsman, he's a merchant, and
Oh yeah, I actually read. I read a couple portions, but I couldn't get all the way through. I was focusing on other things.
I love it.
Right. Oh, I'm on
It's
my-
amusing.
because
I'll
my-
give it that.
Right. Because my computer is broken, I'm on my phone, so apologies straight away if I butcher any of this.
That's okay.
Alright.
Just try your best. That's all that matters.
Wait, who got the clearer mic? Hey,
Don't worry, if you make any mistakes, I will make fun of you regardless.
Very true.
Of course.
Very
Of
true.
course.
As you can probably tell, this is very high budget, so please don't mess up.
Couldn't ask
writing
for
this.
anything less, you know.
Exactly.
Oh, the pressure! Oh my god.
The pressure is
Please.
immense.
Please, you might break my back.
Exactly. I'm sorry, man.
Right. Let's go then. Merchant Prince. How long did you say this was? Like 400 words or something? Am I boring you already?
That didn't take long. That literally didn't even take a second. He was like, "Yeah, that's boring."
I haven't even started yet.
no, I yawn out of habit.
Oh, okay.
Understandable.
Should we mute ourselves whilst you read this so that we don't
That's fine.
Huh?
I'll just go
Just
for
try.
it.
Yeah, just try and stay quiet.
Okay.
I'll just
Right.
stay quiet until you're done.
Good.
Thank you. That would help massively. Thank you.
We will try your best. No promises.
Right. Right. Kirito pursed his lips and made that face he always made when he was thinking. The base price of a bear pelt is 800 coal, but being shot up greatly diminishes the value of a pelt. A good shot from a good bow that pierces both lungs is the best way to kill a bear with a single neat hole that can be easily sewn. If the pelt is turned into a rug, that's 1700 coal. If it's made into a high quality cape and headdress, assuming a high level tailor, it can be made into something worth about 2400 coal. Even discounting paying said tailor, that's still a 3 times profit increase, and all of that from a single arrow. Oh no. That's I knew where this was going. Last question. How high is your survival skill? 250. Why? Said Sinon. Well, the thing is that a lot of players don't invest in survival. Lots of players think it's boring. But it also gives access to extra damage against animals, beasts, and makes travelling the wilds way easier. Great for skinning too. Most folks all go for combat skills, but it's overall a very underrated utility skill. Get to the point, charlatan. The quest needs a minimum survival requirement of 200, and even my loyal bodyguard here only has 90, which is why you are the perfect woman for the job. In an instant, Kirito's fear vanished from his face and he smiled. Not that nervous smile from before, the smile that Asuna dreaded, dragging her into whatever shenanigans he always found himself in. There were yen signs in his eyes. Miss Sinon, let me draft a contract for the both of us, and we'll be on our way to making lots of money. What? Kirito shrugged. Okay, maybe those arrows were bunk. I admit it. If it pleases you, I'll happily reimburse the broken product. I'll even throw in a shooting glove. What do you say? Sinon was silent for a while. The gall of this man who sold her crappy arrows, then finally sighed and relented. Fine. Very good. Dear Asuna, please put down your sword. It's not nice to point sharp things at a new employee. Asuna locked eyes with the Slayer. Finally, she lowered her rapier, at which point Sinon shot Kirito in the face.
Beautiful!
Just so, the word charlatan, which is a word that I don't see often, I just want to say, basically, charlatan is a word that is synonymous with a fraud, a fake, an imposter, pretender. It is a person falsely claiming to have a special knowledge or skill. Just for the people who don't know.
Thank you for the explanation.
The
Thank you
more
very
you know.
much. There we go.
Beautiful
So,
work.
would
Beautiful work.
one of you
beautiful work.
kindly
Yeah.
take it away.
Okay.
Very good.
Explain.
Who's next in line?
As if we're doing a quick explanation of what it actually is in that, or have we already done that?
Oh yeah, right.
Let's
Of
talk
course.
about the story.
Yeah, obviously. That was a snippet from Merchant Prince, a story written by Agent 94. He's the same guy who wrote Einkrad Retold, which is currently on hiatus due to low reviews.
Guy,
Poor guy.
what a shame.
If you read Merchant Prince, please leave reviews, or Agent will quite possibly hunt you down and kill you.
Yes.
He has stated on multiple occasions that he is willing to take lives for this. So please be sure to read it and leave reviews on all chapters, not just one. And you can find him on fanfiction.net. Just Google him, Agent 94.
And if you really don't feel anything, then try reading Retold and leave every review every chapter.
Yes. If you don't value your free time, you can read Einkrad Retold, which is like 300,000 words long at this point, I believe. It's
A
changed.
little lower than that, I think.
Is it? Oh, okay. I've been reading it for like 7 years, so it's been I've just
I'm
been watching
reading
it
it right
grow.
now, so I know.
So yeah, no, it's a good story. It really is. It's like one of the most popular SAO fanfics, I believe.
It's a
I have to ask, did we already do the snippet of my story code in the last podcast?
Yeah, we did.
We did so.
Okay, just gotta make sure.
It's fine.
I think it was Panzer who read it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I attempted my best.
Wait. No, you read.
No, wait, which one did I do?
Yeah, you read mine. Then
Oh,
Len.
yeah.
It was Len.
Then, yes.
Or was it me?
Yes, I think. What am I agreeing to? Yes, whatever it was, it probably was me.
I can't
Yes.
even remember 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't remember.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
well, we've had our explanation of Merchant Prince. Shall we move on? Alicization.
Yes.
Yes. Personal take. Out of every single arc so far, it is the best.
Yes, definitely.
But we're talking about the anime now, like the show.
Yeah,
Yes.
you just the anime, yes, not the
exactly.
not where the light novels or where the manga have gone. No, we're just focusing on what the anime has currently.
We will do
okay,
it at
okay.
another time.
Oh, okay.
And not War of the Underworld either.
Have any of you actually read the light novel?
I read, I think, the first 2 light novels in the Alicization arc, but it has been years ago, so it's really faint for
okay.
me.
Let's just say it's on the list for me.
Yes, the very, 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 very long list.
The long list of many things.
Panzer's very modest collection of 400 plus stories yet to get to.
Yes.
Yeah.
400 plus stories.
What can I say? I don't have a huge amount of time on my hands, and I invest my time wisely.
It's honestly great.
I'm just reading whatever I have time for. And somehow
Just telling people, just tell people that you'll get to them eventually, and they'll leave you alone.
I mean, that's exactly what I've done. So,
when it came to me writing and when I keep telling people it's okay, it's all right, I'll continue this eventually. Just sit tight and you'll be fine. And they keep asking for updates, and I'm just like, at this point, I've just stopped caring, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna update when I freaking feel like it.
I mean, if you force out a chapter or whatever, it doesn't feel right. It's not. It has to be done in a certain way where you're happy with it, and then you can continue on with it. Otherwise, it just feels rushed.
Yeah, but it's already an achievement if there are people who want to read the next chapter.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people say people are enjoying it and then continue on and wanting more, then it's a good story. So
that's like the curse with having good stories on forums like Archive of Our Own and Fanfiction. You write a good story, the first chapter, and you're like, okay, this is really good. I'm glad I did this. Now everyone is just begging for updates, and you just gotta keep telling them it's okay. This is a thing that takes time.
What you clearly don't realize is that this is a multi-year process.
You have to realize.
You don't like.
You have to realize if the people who are asking for the update do not write stories themselves, they don't understand how long the process takes.
Speak for yourself. I'm still hounding Twisted for that Ruby update.
Oi! You're gonna do me like that on air. Come on.
Yes. I'm forcing you to update.
No.
Right.
I'm too weak.
I'll get to it. Okay, I'll get to it.
Yeah. It's been happening ever since I even started writing on the forum, and I'm so tired of I'm so tired of reassuring them constantly that this will be continued at some point. And then, yeah, like I said earlier, it's just gone to the point where I'm like, you know what? I will update when I freaking feel like it, okay?
It's not my time.
Entertain yourself with somebody else's story, all right? And you can, wait patiently.
Yeah. I know that, yeah. It's...
Well, being a retold reader, if you read Ironclad Retold from the beginning, like I did when it was first published, you've waited 7 years.
Or
your patience is boundless.
Or you are like me who started reading now and you still can bust chapter 9.
I mean, some of his earlier chapters are fucking huge. It's like 30k words or something.
40?
Yeah.
30?
Yeah.
Try 40.
What was that one? So you guys know that? Okay, I swear this is related to the topic. All right, you know that old man from one of the Toy Story movies that the fat guy had?
Oh, Big Al, whatever his name is.
It was the old man that fixed up Woody.
Yeah.
Possibly the most satisfying process in the entire movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the second movie, right?
The thing that he said before that was, you can't rush perfection.
Yes.
Yes.
That I agree wholeheartedly.
But you can steal them and...
Yeah. That is a sentiment I share wholeheartedly.
Yeah, you can't rush for perfection. Perfection takes its time, and patience is key.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some of our viewers don't seem to get that. Readers,
it's like with everything. It's fine, honestly.
Yeah,
I understand perfectly that they want to see more of it, but guys, just cool your freaking jets.
Cool. That's a new expression. Cool your jets.
Is it though?
Is it?
It's not.
I've never heard it before.
I heard it.
Oh,
I
okay.
heard it before. Yeah.
Either way,
family.
Len, I'm gonna pass this ball back to you so we can actually get to Alicization, because I have a feeling there's a rant coming.
Yes. Len, you are the host. Keep order.
Right, okay. Yeah, sure. Order.
Thank
Gavel.
you, Speaker of the House. Thank you.
Hit a bit of wood or something. Right.
Let's talk about best
Alicization.
girl, Charlotte.
The first half of season 3, which is
Never seen it.
Oh yes, the
episodes.
lumberjack.
Yay.
Episodes
I've
1 to
never seen
24.
Alicization.
Well, I mean, if you haven't seen Alicization, I would suggest either muting yourself or dipping, because there's going to be some spoilers.
Said that to my sister. She still only watched the first episode of season 1.
No. Oh no.
Spoilers.
And I'm forcing her to be here.
Probably not even going to watch it anytime soon, so I don't care for spoilers.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
Fair enough. Let's continue.
fair enough.
So basically, the gist of it is there's a new thing going about called Wrath, and they built a machine that has created a virtual world called Project Alicization. And yes,
What was that thing? It was called. I read it on a wiki article. It was called the Ocean Turtle.
Yeah.
that's their
base.
like base thing. Yeah, their off-country base. It's it doesn't. It doesn't really look like a turtle, but you know what?
Yeah.
Whatever they want to
Just
call it.
dome.
It's like a pyramid.
Yeah, it's like a rectangle-ish.
Ocean pyramid.
Anyway, continue.
So basically what happens is Kirito gets himself
Almost killed.
shot up on drugs, and he ends up in the underworld, and he's stuck there because he's dead. Kind of. No, but not really.
Warning!
Falls on hard times, starts hitting the drugs, overdoses, and ends up in Ocean Turtle.
And
Pretty
then
much,
Asuna
yeah.
makes a deal with the devil and goes there herself to
Exactly.
get him back.
The first episode of Alicization is like an hour long.
Yeah,
It's
40,
technically-
45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Technically speaking, it's episodes 1 and 2 put together.
No, it's episode 1.
and just made episode 1, but
That's cool. That episode 1. Yeah,
I'll tell you something quick about this. So basically, there was a Comic-Con near where I stay right before Alicization started, and me and a few friends, we went to see it. But the problem was they were screening the first episode, and the screen was so low that if you were behind the front row, you couldn't see the subtitles.
Yeah.
So basically nobody could understand what was happening. And then you see the first episode, and in the first 30 seconds, Kirito's a 5-year-old child, and you have no idea what's going on.
That's got to be such a severe juxtaposition.
Yeah, I kind of actually remember reading on the subreddit for Sword Art Online that there were people complaining about that screen because it was so low and nobody could see what the fuck was, what was happening essentially, or the subtitles.
So it happened at a lot of other places then.
Yeah, it was like I saw people complaining about it on the subreddit, and I was
It's
like,
a
damn, that
universal
seems.
fact. Only the
that's-
Japanese.
I mean, to be honest, even the context of even like the subtitles and that, the first few episodes, it did take me a little bit just to wrap my head around everything. It's so going into it. It's so different.
Yeah, the first episode, especially the beginning, raises a lot of questions because you're like, why is Kirito 5? Who's the blonde dude? Who's the chick?
Yes. Then
Although if you played the games or whatever, you know who they are, but
yeah, you've seen them.
that was pretty much my introduction to Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the games.
What's the games, yeah.
And what's this tree got to do with anything?
Yeah, exactly. They're talking about this giant cedar tree, and I'm like, okay, you like trees, huh?
let's kill a tree.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, one day I'll kill this tree, and I'm like, okay.
You've just got two. You've just got a couple of 10-year-olds just cutting down a tree. You don't have subtitles. One of them is Kirito. You don't understand what's going on.
And then,
It wasn't fun.
yes, I think the first few episodes were basically what we were missing from the previous seasons, world building. No?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of world building in Alicization compared to the
Everything
others.
else.
Everything
I'm
else.
waiting.
Fairy
It
dance.
wasn't.
No,
I'm waiting.
what's
I'm
that?
waiting.
I've never heard of this fairy dance before. what's that?
That's fanfic. Very bad
Yeah,
fanfic.
yeah. I knew. Damn.
You guys are explaining Alicization. I'm waiting for the part where someone to say, and then suddenly shit goes sideways.
That's pretty much.
That's
No,
basically the first
it's
episode.
kind of hard. It's basically the first episode because it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly when shit goes sideways, but it is in the first episode.
Yeah, when Kirito gets stabbed.
To tell the truth,
right.
because
Right.
to tell
I
the
forgot
truth,
about that.
because it started in the background way before with Death Guns, so we started sideways the whole season, right?
Yeah.
So we are fucked.
Oh yeah, there was that entire bit in Gun Go Online as well, which that thread was left wide open.
Yes. True.
And I did find it funny how if you look carefully at like certain characters and that, certain names, billboard, or whatever, there is a lot of references to the Fatal Bullet game. The logos on a wall. A couple of character names are actually in the leaderboards, and in one of the scenes, I forgot two of the main ones were actually playing. Yeah, actually playing. I think it might be Paul or whatever, but in the background as well when all the main characters are talking as well, which I found was quite nice detail because of as I've played the game. So it's like, oh, I know these people.
No, that's actually pretty cool.
I think what I liked in the first episode that I really looked for to see what significance it has. It's that part in GGO where they fight those mercenaries, and
Yes.
Yeah.
I was a little confused because it was
Yes.
made. I was a little confused because it was made like apparent that these guys were like actual military personnel using GGO to like train their forces, and the fact that they were beaten by a bunch of kids is kind of funny. You know?
yeah, but it's Kirito, plot armor.
Yeah, true.
And he had both Asuna and Sinon at his side, so they had no chance.
Exactly.
But Sinon had been having trouble with them for ages.
Yeah, right.
By herself,
yeah.
but then she had Kirito.
And if I remember
Obviously,
correctly,
right.
yeah.
It gets addressed more in War of the Underworld, so we're not gonna delve into the military guys now.
No, I mean,
But
because it depends.
Yeah.
Like we're just discussing the first 24 episodes, which is the season that is just called Alicization.
Yes.
I don't know how many has seen all of it, like the entirety, both War of Underworld and the normal one.
the second one,
I'm watching War of the Underworld. I think I'm 3 episodes in.
Oh, okay.
I think I put it.
So
I
I'm
think I
a
put it in the
virgin.
chat. I think I put it in the chat earlier. But the second part is called Sword Art Online Season 3 Part 2 War of the Underworld.
Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo.
Oh my god.
What a mouthful that.
It is, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
What does it mean? Oh, the word boogaloo. What does that mean?
Electric Boogaloo. I think it's
Yeah.
mostly just a meme at this point, you know.
Yes.
People just like
If you
every time
actually-
there's a secret, it's like the Bible 2 Electric Boogaloo.
If you actually look at it, it was actually a film. It was a sequel, and it was one of the film was 2 Electric Boogaloo, like released in the 70s, and it was meh, but it existed, and that's where it all came from.
That's where it all originated.
Boogaloo, boogaloo, boogaloo.
It's a pretty decent meme. I give it like a solid 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 maybe.
Yeah,
But anyway, Alicization.
that's us.
Back to the topic at
no order
hand.
here.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Right.
The more you know.
Mhm. So we're still explaining the first episode, but God, the whole STL and
The
the
whole
floodlight
BS
explanation.
about
Don't get me
Soul.
started on how that all works, because it is just. I hate it when these writers use quantum physics to explain everything, even though it's complete rubbish what they're talking about. Because some bits actually do exist, as in proper quantum mechanics and that, but then they've molded it into such a way to justify the technology and the connection between that and actually making the technology. I just can't get my head around it because I actually know what's actually supposed to do.
That reminds me
Yep.
that skin.
Listen, the only justification that I can give it is that it's set in the future, and maybe in 5-6 years' time, whatever the hell it's on about actually comes to fruition. But apart from that, there's no other way to justify making shit up.
That reminds me that in the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp, where they talking with Bill Foster and Scott asks that do you place quantum in front of everything to explain things? Or something like this.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically how you do any form of near future or sci-fi stuff.
Exactly.
Just put quantum in it, and immediately everything's supposed to make sense.
Exactly.
Yes.
It makes you sound smart.
Exactly. Kirito, how come
Indeed.
you're able to attract all these women? It's quantum particles, babe. Like they just radiate from my body. My plot armor is made of quantum particles.
What?
It's quantum.
I know some fluctuations in the quantum field or something. I don't know.
Exactly. I give off a quantum shield around my body.
Oh yes, we discovered a new quantum particle.
Exactly.
It's called plot armor.
Yeah. The boys in the
I'm going
lab
down
calling
to-
it plot armor.
I'm going down to the shop. I'm going down to the shop to buy some smart food. It's called quantum bread.
Quantum bread.
I'm breathing quantum air.
Exactly. Quantum air. No, I mean the STL is kind of like, it is obviously just like a MacGuffin, like a plot element to a new nerve gear, if you will, just more advanced. So
a better new nerve gear.
Yeah, it's like Nerve Gear 2.0, just like upgraded so that Reki can write a more realistic fantasy world than he did last time, which was just very gamified.
And maybe
Everything.
maybe it won't kill you.
Yeah, so I mean, I was like, when I listened to I can appreciate the fact that he at least tried to come up with like some bullshit explanation about like light photons in the brain or whatever that basically make up the soul. Like, I can appreciate the attempt. Obviously, it doesn't really make sense, but I was like, I'll accept it.
But at least there's an attempt.
That's basically
Like everyone has their own ideas about what it is and what it does and how it works.
Yeah.
Like if you go on to Reddit or the wiki or whatever, everyone has their own ideas of how it works. But it just it's so drastically different how most people view it that it just doesn't work at all. I mean, when I wrote about it, I literally just pulled an explanation off the wiki and put it in my own words, and there you go.
Wait, you tried to explain?
Bob's your uncle.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. I think I looked at the wiki page once, which has, funnily enough, it is actually longer than the explanation Reki gives. So, you know, obviously, because they're like, okay, well, he said some bullshit. We got to try to explain this, right?
The true fan.
Exactly.
To be honest, the first bit is actually giving some backgrounds behind parts of it. So,
yeah, exactly. Like, I don't really know where they got that from, though, because I can't remember it being in the book or the light novels.
Maybe a web novel?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because Alicization was a web novel before it was a light novel, so it might have been in the web novel. I haven't read that far in the web novel because it
was
is.
Was it in the? I thought it wasn't. I thought it finished at Mother's Rosario.
No, it wasn't the web novel. The thing that isn't in the web novel is the new one, Unital Ring.
Yeah.
That one never existed in the web novel.
I thought I
All
thought
these
that was why.
names for certain parts of the SAO series, Unal Ring, Alicization, Phantom Blood. These names just ring right off the tongue,
Yeah.
or roll right off the tongue.
I just did a quick search as well. If you go onto the wiki about floodlights and that, the first paragraph, the first paragraph is actually real stuff in terms of this is actual proposed theory, which it does exist. So what he's done, he's gone onto the internet one day, seen this, and he said, this might actually work, and then actually said, oh, by the way, it's real now. So this entire thing, or at least a part of it, is based on a theory from 1967.
Nice.
Okay.
Old technology then.
Yeah, so
What technology made new technology?
I just did way too much research to try and justify this.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Trust
it
me,
shows that
you're not the only one.
It shows that Reki is willing to research anything except how an actual MMO plays.
He's he'd honestly chosen the worst things, right? So he doesn't understand games. Like, he doesn't understand the internet. He doesn't understand guns.
Swords.
He doesn't understand technology in general.
And doesn't understand quantum physics.
Or
But he
character
does have
development.
He doesn't understand quantum writing.
Wow.
You know, just you pick something you can write about. That's
Right what
Yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah, well, at least he tried, you know.
Yeah.
At least he
so you
gave it an
can't
honest
fault him from
shot.
trying.
Yeah, he gave it an honest shot. And by the time when he actually originally wrote this, SAO was still just a web novel, so it was basically like him just writing a fan fiction, right? Kind of similar, except that it's an original work.
But even taking away the BS that's the STLs and the fluct lights and everything, it's still a good storyline.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is way better than what he has written before.
Yeah,
what came
surprisingly
before.
deep.
Yeah, like in terms of like objective writing quality, the Alicization arc as a whole is just the best thing he's ever written so far. I mean, progressive is good as well.
Yes.
But I'm not quite sure. I feel like progressive is like more like a episodic thing, so it's kind of hard to compare it to something like that.
Progressive is more of a going back to fix a mistake that he made.
Yeah.
I think what I liked in Alicization that the main antagonist, the administrator, her backstory and her motivations are surprisingly deep and they are surprisingly developed. We didn't get a second Fairy King Oberon or something like that. That's what I feared.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, at least we didn't have another Oberon.
But we still got rape schemes.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So basically, the administrator is someone who figured out, as in one of the NPCs that are within the project Alicization, that basically figured out how to
hack the game.
give herself the administrator powers.
Yeah, she went into the Minecraft command window.
She basically became Cardinal.
Yeah.
She went into the quantum administrator.
Yeah, exactly.
And gave herself administrative rights, and she basically became a goddess.
What do you call a
like
non-player character who is hacking? Hacker NPC.
Hacker NPC, of course. Yeah, no.
And then she created a book called the Taboo Index, which is basically a whole bunch of rules so that no one can become more powerful than her.
Yeah.
So the whole reason she created it was so that no one could become more powerful than her and overthrow her, because she holds all the power, and she doesn't want to lose it, basically.
Yeah. She figured out.
Len, if you strike me down, I will become stronger than you can ever imagine. Sorry, but I just couldn't help but think of that line.
Oh, why is that line so familiar? Why is it so
Star
familiar?
Wars.
Star Wars. Obi-Wan
Oh, yeah,
Kenobi!
Obi-Wan Kenobi said that.
Yeah,
okay.
I just hit the Darth Vader.
A
Yeah.
new hope! A quantum hope.
If you strike me down, I shall become stronger than you ever imagined. And then he just kind of like force farts his way out of existence after being hit by a lightsaber.
Understandable, 100%.
Fucking disappears as well. Like she hits him, and then he just like one frame he's standing there, the next he's just gone.
And he left behind his clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys ever see the reimagining of that fight?
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
I did actually. Yeah, I think I did actually.
It was awesome.
It was weird. It did. You know, what's it called? Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, it was a little uncanny because it was like it's obviously a fan thing. So
Yes.
Yeah.
But it looked at
So
cool.
obviously they keep him hooded for most of the fight. But when it's the scenes where they're talking to each other, his face is projected onto it because it's still the guy that's playing him in the reimagining, and it just looks strange.
Yes, but I don't think it's worse than Tarkin's CGI face in Rogue One.
Oh wait,
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, it's been such a long time since I saw Rogue One.
I only remember this because
Anyway.
I was watching how we should have ended videos.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, anyway, back to Sword Online.
Yes, one thing I will say, I'd imagine parts of the not I'm hesitant to call it a genre, but more of a not theme, but what would you call it? You know when something gets repeated a lot.
Yeah.
What do you mean what's called now?
A trope or a cliche.
Trope. Yeah, cliche. That's it.
Cliche.
I'm not sure if it's started from here or slightly before, or whatever, but every single time there's more like a fantasy world or whatever in like anime or whatever, the church is always evil.
Every time.
Yes.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it began with here or beforehand, but I know there's a lot of tropes I've seen from my isekai, which is a lot of like other isekai in that. I can see a lot of tropes which is like they've either like just taken stuff from it or there's bits which have been expanded upon. It's quite hard to go back to this after watching all of the rubbish which has come afterwards, which is based partly on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The thing with the administrator is her motivations are actually understandable.
Yeah. She doesn't want to die, basically.
She wants to be immortal. She wants to keep the power. She wants to protect the land.
And
Because of the.
Yeah.
She's not like a stereotypical bad guy in the sense that she's like, oh, I'm going to kill my own civilians at my whim. It's more like I have ascended because I now have game mode 1 access. And I'm going to use this power to maintain and develop my lands.
Yeah.
And I'll write these rules, 1, so that people can't become like me, and 2, so that people don't, do bad shit, essentially. Although she left in some pretty big loopholes in terms of the nobility.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah,
I think
that's more explored in the games, though. I think, right?
Yeah.
The loopholes with the nobility, yeah.
Alicization like Chorus or whatever that game is called. I haven't played it yet.
I liked in her character that for some reason she thinks that love equals control, and that's a very big motivation for her character to control, to not let anyone have power over her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, overall, as a villain, I think she was done very well.
I mean, by SAO villain standards, she's right up there.
Yeah, and which makes the finale, I guess, even better than I suppose, because I know the great thing about a villain is that you have the third act breakdown where they all fall apart, and and if the villain's done at least reasonably well beforehand, then that last bit is very very good.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I can see
right.
that.
We're going to take a break, a few minutes,
All right.
because we need another story snippet.
Yeah.
All right.
Who goes?
True. Who's next one?
We shall say
You are the boss.
Swordsman Chronicles.
Oh, so mine. Okay.
Truth instead.
All right. Yeah, I'll be reading this one. It's my own story, so no bias here at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I was pushing it with this snippet because the requirement was around 300, and this one ended up close to 400. So I was pushing it a little, but I couldn't really cut it any earlier because of how the scene ends.
So it's not only me. See, Len, it's not only me.
Yes, but that's you abusing your power, not a guest coming in to read their own story.
I don't care.
Yeah, so it's basically, this is the snippet I chose is not from chapter 1. It's quite a bit into the story, but it's more towards the later chapters that have been released. And it kind of starts in the middle of the action after a boss fight. So I shall go on to read this. Just
go ahead.
These tabs. All right. Turning my head, I shot a quick glance in the general direction of the two guild leaders, letting out a sigh of frustration as I saw them shouting loudly at one another. Man, always something with those two, isn't it? I muttered loudly, getting up on my feet with great exertion. Hot damn, my body was tired. I would definitely need a really long bath after this to take the edge off. They are not exactly the best at getting along, no, Klein agreed, coming up behind me to put a comforting hand on my shoulder. You'll be all right on your own, Kirito? Yeah, I got this, I waved, inwardly strengthening my resolve as I left my party behind to approach the two arguing guild leaders. For being two of the strongest players in the game, they sure could act childish. Inter-guild cooperation proceeding smoothly as always, I see, I remarked sarcastically as I came to a halt in front of the two of them, causing their little shouting match to come to a premature end. Turning to stare at me, I couldn't help but shiver as I noticed the look of pure anger in their eyes. Something definitely wasn't right here. Oh, shut your trap, Kirito, Kibao spat in response, regarding me with poorly concealed hatred. This ain't got nothing to do with you and your little band of losers, so stay out of it. Band of losers, huh? It's not a bad guild name, you know, I nodded, putting on a pondering look. Has a better ring to it than Einkrad Liberation Squad, at least. What was that? You itching for a fight or something? He fired back, cracking his knuckles loudly in a ridiculous attempt at intimidation. Well, not particularly, no, but if you really want to, I guess I could duel you. Then again, we both know who would win that duel, don't we? If looks could kill, I would have been long dead at this point. Thankfully, they couldn't, and as such, Kibao was forced to shut his mouth and glare hatefully at me in silence, unwilling to back up his empty threats with action. We both knew I could easily wipe the floor with him in a 1v1, which was also the only reason I had the balls to talk to him in such a brazen way. And that's the end of the snippet.
Nice.
Bravo.
So yeah, no, that is a snippet from my own story, the Swordsman Chronicles. You can find it by Googling me or, just looking at the SAO fucking... Yeah, just Google it.
We are putting up a link on the YouTube video. So don't worry.
That as well.
They will find
you.
They will always find you.
Yeah, they will, won't they?
Just like I did.
Yeah, it's so it's it'll be in the description, or you can just Google it. Don't read it; it's not good, but I have fun writing it. So
I like it. Don't say that.
Yeah,
I like it.
Nain likes it. Nain likes it.
I like everything.
True, he does love everything he reads, though. So you can take his opinion with a grain of salt.
A very big grain of salt.
All right. Is that it then?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Well, thank you very much for your
shameless plug.
Yes.
Yes, your shameless plug, if that's what you want to call it. Thank you very much for your shameless plug.
This will make a fun addition to my reading list.
Wait, what? Oh, yes, of course.
Another
101st story on your reading list.
Oh, yes. Right.
Yes.
Right,
shall we
move on to...
Shall we move on? Yes. Return back to
Alicization.
Episode 10.
So
You
10.
see, yeah, you just skip past all the stuff I don't want to see, and then it's like you're supposed to go through like a dramatic scene where they're saying, "Oh, I need to save them," whatever, and then it's like going against the system or something makes your eye explode. I just couldn't help. I couldn't help but just laugh.
Why the right eye? Why can't the left eye?
Yeah.
It's discriminative.
So,
I understand it's supposed to be a really serious situation of trying to go against the code and whatever, but I just laugh as my eye just blows up.
exactly.
Have you seen Scammers?
It's pretty much, yeah, like, it's basically if you try to break the taboo index, which has been set by administrator, the code will cause you deep pain, a lot of pain, and then your right eye will explode if you continue pushing it. So if you try to like break her rules or whatever and do something you're not supposed to do, then you'll really have to fight in order to be able to do so. The whole thing with the right eye exploding is like, yeah.
It's interesting that there's a difference between intentionally breaking the taboo, like what Yujo did, and what Alice did in the first episode when she entered the dark territory.
Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah. So there is also apparently a difference between breaking it voluntarily and breaking it without knowing that you're breaking it. They distinguish between those two a little bit, yeah. So basically, Kirito, after being assaulted, ends up in this. He gets put into the SDL, and they send him to this fantasy world called the Underworld, which is of course where all of this shit is happening. And now he has to figure out where the fuck he is.
And how does he remember his life when previously he didn't remember when logging in?
Yeah, so he has no memory before he woke up in the Underworld. And he's like, where am I? What is happening? Who is this blonde-haired guy? What's the big tree?
Very much. And nobody knows, nobody remembers him either.
I mean, wouldn't you be a bit suspicious if this random person you've never met in your life just appeared right next to a tree? Who are you?
Okay, I will trust you. You seem like a good guy.
Exactly. He just pulls up next to the tree you've been attempting to chop down for the past 300 years, and he's like, wow, you're really a bitch, aren't you? Can't cut down a tree.
Slices it in like a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's get the sword to do it. Why should we bother with X? Let's go. Chop with the sword.
Yeah. He meets Yujo, which is the blonde-haired boy, underneath this huge tree, and the two of them become friends. And then Kirito learns that Yujo can't leave his village before he has completed his task, because every villager in the Underworld is assigned a task when they reach
the calling, right?
Yeah, exactly, the calling or whatever they called it. So they get a task, and they have to do that task until it is completed or until they die. And Yujo's task is to chop down a tree which the villagers have been trying to chop down for 300 years. So naturally, his chances are not looking particularly good. And he also learns from Yujo that his Yujo had a childhood friend that was taken from the village at a very young age because she involuntarily broke the taboo index, and he wants to go find her at some point, hopefully.
Yeah. And then they almost die.
Yeah.
Goblins. It's always goblins.
Oh yeah, right. I'd actually forgotten about that whole.
Yeah, and then Ali's spirit comes to save them. that was a really confusing part.
Oh yeah, right. I've forgotten most of this because it's been like 2 years since I saw this.
Me and Panzer just watched it, so it's really fresh for us.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I found the overall, even though the story as a whole would be better than previous ones, I found the pacing to be a bit
strange.
I don't. Yeah, like it will spend a couple of days on a very specific thing, and then it's just within like a space of 2 episodes, you skip over a lot of it, and then half of it is within the tower itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found the pacing just to be really odd.
Yeah, the first 13 episodes is set like in the world, and then the last 11 or something is in the tower itself, which they're now trying to.
But you also have to remember it was what 7 or 8 of the novels. Were all this first season, and then the last 3 or 4 of them were War of the Underworld.
The first, I think the entire Underworld sort of thing, Alicization as a whole, is like 7 novels long, and the first 4 is the first season, and the last 3 are the War of Underworld.
It's 11 altogether.
Is it 11? Shit, I read more novels than I can remember. Damn, I read all of those. So yeah, and the most jarring thing for me about this, this season essentially, is that. After Kirito helps Yu-Gi-Oh chop down this massive fucking tree, they head for the main city called Centauria, and suddenly there's a 2-year time skip.
And we introduced a lot of characters that we don't know what to do with.
Yeah. And they kind of just like drop him. Suddenly, like, there's a 2-year time skip after they leave the village, and suddenly they're in a school, and they have a ton of friends that we've never seen before, and apparently their own trainees.
Yes, and they have mentors, they have rivals, and I'm just starting at the start of the chapter. Yeah, it's been 2 years, and I'm
basically it's Kirito's like, so I bet you're wondering what I've been up to, huh? Well, let me tell you,
it's been crazy. It's been crazy 2 years that we won't talk about at all.
Yeah, no, and that kind of...
It's just like, this is me. You're probably wondering how I got in this situation.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I won't tell you.
But we're not going to explain it. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no. So, and that kind of... Because I watched the anime before I read the novels, and I was kind of surprised when I watched the anime at just like, okay, so you're just going to drop a 2-year time skip like that and just not justify or explain anything. And then I read the novels, and I realized that they cut out an entire fucking arc.
Really?
They cut out.
I have to read it.
Yeah, they cut out a sword fighting tournament, because what happens in the novels is that after leaving the village, Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh arrive in Centauria, and they realize that they need to join this swordsmanship school, which I've forgotten the name of, Swordcraft Academy.
I remember they made like a 5-second reference to that.
Twisted. It is in the game.
Is it?
They do. Yeah, they cover it in the game.
Yeah, they just didn't cover it in the anime.
Yeah.
They had a 5-second scene about the two of them winning that tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. That's it. They won.
Because the tournament was like 4 chapters long in the books, so which is quite a bit, because the books is only like 10 chapters. So it was quite a bit. And
they just skipped over half of it. Jesus.
Yeah, they pretty much just skipped in half a book. They were like, yeah, we can do this in a time skip. It doesn't matter. So basically they come to... Yeah, pretty much. And they realized that, in order to get into this swordcraft school or whatever it was called, they need to win this tournament, because the winners are, given a spot in this school. So then they're like, okay, let's do that. And that's when they go and get their weapons crafted, which is, the branch they took from the tree is shaped into a weapon that Kirito can use, and so on.
I have a quick question. That's something I didn't like in the anime, that Kirito's mentor, something Serlut.
Sortiliena or something.
Yes. Did she appear in that light novel? Or she... Yes. Then I definitely have to read it, because I really liked her character, and I was disappointed that she got so little screen time.
Yeah, she was introduced during the tournament, if I remember correctly, as one of the opponents that he had to beat in order to win the tournament. So, and then she recognized him when he joined the school, and that's kind of how their mentorship and started. So it was really surprising to me, especially when I read the books after having watched the anime, that I was like, wow, they really just skipped over all of this, didn't they? And just like, because it kind of, it helped develop the world a lot as well, because a lot of the combatants in the tournament had different sword styles and stuff that came from different parts of the world, and so they used that as an excuse to like explain these different types of sword styles and like where they came from and the backstory of them and stuff like that. So it really helped with the world building, but I guess they just couldn't find a way to like actually compile all of that and make it fit within a 24 episode anime.
You know what I
But
found?
that's where.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. But I understand that's where the timing can get confusing, because obviously, like the first 4 or 5 episodes, I think there's like 4 or 5 episodes before they actually leave the village, and that's just one book.
Yeah.
One book is the first like 4 episodes of the show, and then they pretty much completely skip the second book, which is the academy stuff, and then the third book is basically picks up where the anime picks up again.
Yeah.
That's
pretty accurate.
I found it a little interesting that in that war season we see people fighting with swords, see someone use a bow, someone use a whip of all things, but no one used a spear. I didn't see a single spear. Why not? What's wrong with the spear?
Don't know. I guess a certain someone forgot they existed again, apparently.
Well, I mean, you think those weapons are weird, just wait until War of the Underworld. That's
we need dragoons from Final Fantasy.
That's got quite the assortment of weapons in that one.
Every problem can be solved with a bigger gun. I've said this before, and I'll continue saying this.
Or a bigger spear.
Bigger spear, yeah.
A bigger spear. Yeah, a bigger spear. One have a spear and make it propel forwards as well. Then you have an RPG.
Exactly.
Ooh, I could use it in a Ruby fanfic.
That could work, you know. Yeah, no, it was a little odd to me, the time skip, especially since they skipped the tournament. But I mean, I can see why they did it. It's just a little bit jarring, especially when you're an anime only watcher and you don't get all that backstory you get when you read the novels. But one problem that I think persists over both, it's in both the light novels and the anime, is that Kirito just doesn't give a fuck about Asuna at all. He just does not care. So, like, man gets put in fantasy world, and he's like, in the beginning, I think he thinks about Asuna once when he's in the village with Yu-Gi-Oh! He's like, oh man, he's sitting in a bathtub, and he's like, oh man, I miss my wife. And then he just like for the next 2 years, he doesn't think about her at all. He's like, yeah, no, fuck this girl. I'm gonna swing swords with my homies and fight monsters and shit, you know.
And really interesting, I don't think he knows that the time in the game isn't accurate to the time outside.
No,
so,
exactly.
So basically, he lived 2 years and, wonder what is my wife doing, who found herself in the position of seeing me trapped in a video game. And 2 years, wonder how she's doing.
Yeah, like he doesn't know at that point that like 10 seconds in the real world is like a week in the underworld or whatever. So like he doesn't know about the time difference. So for him, in all actuality, it has been 2 years both in the underworld and 2 years in the real world. So he must be wondering, like realistically speaking, he would be wondering like what's up with my wife, you know? What's happening there?
Maybe
Why would he be worrying about his wife when he has got more people to add to the harem?
Yes,
very true.
Why would he care? And he'll be too busy thinking about his quantum physics as well.
Exactly.
If you think about it, in the Aincrad arc, he didn't really think much about his family either. That he lived in that world, so he lives in the underworld now. He has no wife in the underworld yet. So
well, he didn't. If I remember correctly, he didn't actually want to leave Aincrad to begin with, at least.
Yes, they talked about Asuna when they had that diner, that they basically living there already. So why would they go back?
Or was that just me?
Yeah.
Was that just me Or do they actually not want to leave?
Now let's stay in power fantasy and have lots of girls.
It's just like it just struck me as a little odd. I mean, Reki has made it a personal hobby of his to do Asuna dirty essentially in all of his works. So he's apart from Progressive, where he seems to focus a lot on Asuna. But like in mainline SAO, he kind of just ignores her for the most part, and gives her some action role towards the end. But it just struck me as kind of odd that this guy because the last time we saw Asuna and Kirito was in the Ordinal Scale movie. I don't know if all of you have seen Ordinal Scale.
Yes. We reviewed it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, in that case, so the last we saw, they were like getting engaged, essentially. He gave her like a promise ring or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And now he just goes from that to, being stuck in Fantasyland and like, wife? Who wife? Who that? Who that? I don't know.
I don't have a wife. I'm single.
Exactly.
Single
He's
and
like, dropped into fantasy world. He's like, there's fresh pussy to be had here, boys. Like, why? I have no connection to the real world.
What's the real world? This is the world.
Exactly.
This is reality for me.
So like, it kind of brought me out of the experience a little bit because I found myself wondering multiple times, both watching the anime and reading the book, like, what does he think about his situation? Like, why aren't we seeing him struggle more with the realization that it's been 2 fucking years and all of his friends?
I think he did actually know about the.
Did he?
Like, once he realized where he was, or did he realize where he was?
He did realize where he was.
I think he did.
Relatively early.
Yeah. So he does know about the difference in time. It's like like 1,000 to 1 or something like that, or 200 to 1. I think it was.
That's because he doesn't remember what happened in there. So who does say that he remembers that little information?
Because his quantum brain remembers.
Okay, I have no more objections.
Exactly, the quantum brain kicked in.
Exactly.
Shit. I can see the code, Joe. I can see the code.
The whole obsession with just anything quantum, just quantum shit. Have any of you ever seen, played, or even heard of the game Quantum Break?
Yeah, I've
heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've seen videos on it as well.
Talon, I'm going to run this joke into the ground over the next hour or so.
Do you mean the quantum ground?
Yes, the quantum ground.
Wait, what joke? Are you saying quantum shit?
Putting
Just
quantum in front of everything.
Exactly.
It makes you sound 10 times smarter.
It makes you sound. I like to say really big words that even if I don't understand them, I like using big words to make me sound photosynthesis.
Yeah, exactly.
We are using quantum words.
Yeah.
Quantum photosynthesis.
Quantum photosynthesis.
Quantum photosynthesis for the quantum words.
Exactly.
Quantum.
And
It was
just the point that kind of stuck out to me that he doesn't really think about him, and only when he actually meets Asuna again, way later.
Wait,
which I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anything about it, but obviously he does meet Asuna again at some point. So I'm not going to say how or when or why.
I do have a meme that I've had saved for ages that I'm going to use in 2 weeks' time when we talk about this. Because I find it hilarious.
Yeah. So like when he eventually meets Austin again, that's when it sort of like hits him that like, oh, I haven't seen my wife in 2 years. Like it's kind of like he's being caught cheating, and now he's like trying to, like comfort his wife. Like, oh, I missed you so much. No, you're the one for me. Like he doesn't think about her for 2 years before he sees her. He's like, oh shit, I got a wife.
Fanfic writers. Write it down.
It's been like 2.5 years for him, but it's been a day for her.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you think about it like this, if you keep on dwelling about the fact that he has a wife in the real world, then I think it would distract him from the things that he's got going on currently, and he wouldn't get anything done.
The current waifu. Distracts on the current waifu.
Exactly. Like
no, not current waifu. I mean, like just trying to.
Yeah, I get where you're saying. I get the point.
Yeah,
Like he can't be like dragged.
I don't
Yeah.
get back.
Right,
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you here. I do not care enough about Asuna to care that he doesn't care about her.
No, I mean
It's more the
true.
principle.
It's more like the principle behind it. Like if you're gonna write romance, I would very much like to believe in the romance. Like, you know. But when you're like, oh yes, I have wife. She cook food. I see her. It's like
Wait, free food? Well,
exactly.
I mean, how many times do we actually see them together after they leave SAO?
3 times.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the least romantic couple in the universe. They're like, every time they meet each other, it's either because Kirito is off doing something and Asuna is like trying to find them or like catch up to him, or it's because Asuna has like, or he has a moment where he like, oh shit, I gotta protect her.
It's weirdly the least used, but the most forced.
Yeah, it's
Well, in
really
in the
weird.
GGO arc, they have like 2 skins where they basically lying on the grass, and everyone comments that, do they have to do this in front of us? So
That's not really that's not really to show their romantic relationship. That's to show the jealousy of everyone else.
yes.
Yeah, and the weird thing is like they're down there on the ground and they're like, do they really have to like sit up there and be all lovey-dovey? And then the camera like switches to them and Kirito is like, yes, I'm gonna play a new video game. Like it's no, there's no romance there. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck off and I'm gonna play a video game with this other chick.
He's like, do you want to come? She's like, oh, can I come with? He's like, hell no.
Hell no.
There's another chick over here. I'm gonna go over to her.
Yeah, exactly.
You just wait here. You just wait here, and you can watch me on the TV.
You can cheer
In a
me
different
on while
day.
I have an intimate moment with another woman.
But be careful because I might look like a girl.
Exactly.
The ultimate trap.
The ultimate trap.
God.
I think it's kind of funny how she never makes any sort of mention or note of his completely altered appearance. Like, wait, since when did he look like a girl? That's him? Like, there's no shot or anything like that.
Well, to be fair, it's literally just him with longer hair.
Yeah.
So
Asuna be like that, I can recognize that feminine face anywhere. That girly face, yes, that's Kirito.
I can recognize that femboy anywhere.
That's why
Exactly.
I can recognize that fucking trap anywhere.
That's the one consistent thing Reki gets in his novels. Everyone comments about how Kirito looks like a girl.
It started with Klein, and
Yeah, exactly.
It ends.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to talk too much about Asuna because obviously you haven't watched all of Alicization yet, so you don't really know how she even like plays into it. Maybe I can't really remember how much you see from Asuna's perspective in the first season.
A few episodes where she tries to find Kirito.
Oh yeah, she has like entire episodes. She has entire episodes dedicated to her. It's so annoying.
2 or 3 episodes, I think. But after that, nothing.
It completely breaks up the story unnecessarily. It's like, oh, what is Asuna doing? Oh, she's trapped in a room because these guys have broken into the ocean turtle and now they're killing people. Oh no.
Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. We've just taken a full 24-minute episode to tell you this. Now back to the main story.
Exactly.
Yes.
Back to
the important
Forget
people.
the wife. Go back to the waifu.
Back to the waifu.
Back to the people actually doing things.
Discount saver.
Yeah, no, it'll be more relevant in War of Underworld and stuff like that when you get to those parts later. It'll sort of come back, but for now, like in the first season, she wasn't really all that relevant. You just got a little bit of, like a couple of episodes where she's like fucking around trying to find Kirito.
I think I actually like that Reki basically sets up. It doesn't come out of the left field. It basically sets up the plot before the plot itself. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I look at like the entirety of Alicization as a whole, including War of Underworld, which I'm not going to speak of yet, it is a very thought out story in a lot of ways. It is clear that he had a he had a clear idea of how he wanted the story to go from beginning to end before he started writing it, which is a new for him, which is fresh. I very much appreciate that, and it's also what helps contribute to the fact that Alicization is so much better than what we've gotten before. At least a lot. I liked GGO the first half of that when he was in GGO, with Xenon.
Yes.
And Xenon, and I stand by the fact that Xenon and Kirito have better character interactions than him and Asuna ever had.
Yes. Feel the sniper rifle.
Exactly. Like they just bounce off of each other much better than Kirito and Asuna, because Asuna doesn't have a personality anymore because Reki retconned that one out of existence. So
wait, what? Say again?
She doesn't have a personality because after she gets the Kirigaya D in Sword Art Online, it just disappears. It's just gone.
She's in the housewife setting.
Yeah, it's insane. Like she's such a tsundere before she, sleeps with Kirito, and then suddenly it's like he just fucked the personality out of her. She's just gone. She's gone. Now she's suddenly a housewife. It's like, what kind of magical powers does his dick have? What is that?
She kept the cooking skill.
Yeah, he literally just transferred the cooking skill. He's like, oh.
That's the greatest explanation I've ever heard for Asuna's lost personality.
Yeah, but she just got that shit fucked out of her. It's gone.
Just the phrasing alone. What did you fucked the personality out of her?
Yeah, he did though. I blame him for this.
I wonder that the other girls wants the Kirigaya D2, and what will happen to them if they get it?
Yeah, literally.
They will be Asuna 2.0 and 3.0.
Exactly, dude. Like, I hope he never sleeps with Xenon, because I don't want her personality to disappear.
Or Argo.
Yeah, or Argo for that. He never will. Nah, there's no way.
Nah.
If that's the case, if that happens, we write if that happens.
Let's leave it to the dark fantasy.
Yeah, let's leave it to the dark fantasy story. No, I don't know. I don't know. I wish Asuna was a better character. I wish Asuna was Asuna from Progressive.
Yes.
Asuna from Progressive is just way better.
I just started reading Progressive. I only read the first 2 books, but I really like that Asuna. And surprisingly, I like the Kirito too there. He's a character.
Better. He's more relatable.
Yeah.
So I have a question, because obviously I haven't read Progressive yet. Would you take away Progressive for the Asuna from Progressive to be transferred in the main story?
No.
Oh, that's a difficult one. No, I don't think so.
Wait, what's the question again?
If the way I understood it was that if I would remove Progressive from existence, but make it so that Asuna's character in Progressive gets transferred into main, so she's like she is in Progressive, only that Progressive doesn't exist. But Progressive as a whole has a lot of interesting characters.
Argo, Kiswell,
But that's the thing is Asuna's personality more important than the story?
No.
Than the quality, than the supposed quality that Progressive has over main story.
I will take both.
I'll take both, yeah.
So you'll keep Asuna the way she is in main story in order to keep Progressive then?
Yeah, I would
Interesting.
Yeah, because Progressive is like, it's almost, I don't know how he does it, there's just such a gap in quality between Progressive and most of the other stuff he's written, apart from Alicization, that it's like, it's surprising that he managed to write. Because the thing is, every floor of Aincrad gets a book in Progressive, which means he has a lot of time to flesh out every single floor, because every floor has a book. So it feels like he's doing like 1,100 times the world building he's ever done before in Progressive.
Yeah. I actually like Kibao's character in the progressive. I more prefer that one than what we see in the anime.
I
Yeah,
honestly
we
can't see him writing 75 progressive books.
No, exactly. Like he's gonna die before he finishes progressive. There's no way he's going to be able to write all of it. And so the closest thing I've seen is that I saw a guy on the subreddit theorizing that what he's gonna do is that he's gonna write progressive up until floor like 14 or whatever, where Kirito and Asuna is gonna split up. And then Kirito goes on all those side adventures we saw in the anime, where he meets Lisbeth and Celica and all these people. And then it's going to pick up again once he gets to, like, floor 50 or whatever.
60, I think.
Yeah, 60.
It's more possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, so he's not actually going to write 75 books.
I don't know how a good way to segue this, but snippet time. Sabretooth's Tale. Sabretooth's Tale.
Yes, that's my one. Who's reading it?
Oh.
Nain, on you
go. I regret nothing, and I regret everything for some reason. Okay.
There it is.
Alright, folks. Came a familiar voice from a heavily washed stream. Time for our final battle for the qualifiers. Winner gets a place in the city. In the red corner, we had Sinon, a formidable sniper who's not been hit at all so far with her Hecator rifle. Then, in the blue corner, a new face on the competitive front, Sabretooth, easily crushed all competition while climbing the ladder and unpredictable threat. A cheer arose from those who watched. For too long had the finals been dominated by the top guns. No others had their time to shine. Although it would not matter in the long run, this duel was just a little fun between friends? Acquaintances? Whatever the case is, the duel grantees two fighters not willing to back down. As the timer slowly clicked downwards, the bet skyrocketed. The stakes were rising. Credits began to flood into bets like a tsunami mercilessly storming inland, nothing able to stop it. Only time could ease the flow as its energy faded as the waves penetrate deeper inland. Starbug and Subaru only watched. No matter at the ending of the battle, some would lose out. It was only the nature of such gambling. 30 seconds remained. Both Sinon and Sabretooth waited in their own personal darknesses. Took the same, they had very different demons. One was colder than the Arctic, silent and deadly. The other burned with solar-like passion, scorching anything and everything. Both had their plans, very different plans and that. Counter this, counter that. Every plan had to have a backup, even if it was a backup for a backup. No stone could remain unturned. Each one had to be ripped from their foundations for weaknesses. Well, one was doing this. Guess which one? Battle start. And that was the snippet, and I'm dying.
Thank you. That was really well. That was really well done. Thank you.
My throat.
Panzer, would you like to take a few minutes to explain Sabretooth's Tale?
Yes.
Yes, I liked it. I liked that story too.
Yeah, thank you, because you've basically been reviewing every chapter, so thank you for that. But basically, I've mentioned before how I like my alternative timelines and universes and such, so that's what I've done here. So at the beginning of the Phantom Bullet arc, that's what it's called, instead of Kirito taking the reins up to try and figure out who this Death Gun is and try and defeat him, someone else takes the reign, which I've decided to create a different background of how they've got there, and friends as well, which they come in involved. So we're here. So their in-game name is Sabretooth. If the name looks weird, it's because I spelled it I spelled it the British way. If you swapped around the E and the R, that's the American spelling of Sabretooth. But so yeah, basically it follows him along with, they had mentioned there, Subaru and Starbug, which are his close friends, along with Sinon, which he meets right at the beginning of the story. Not very much for spoilers anyway, and it's them trying to find out who Death Gun actually is. So it kind of in a way follows what the actual thing, the actual progression of the arc itself. But I've done it in such a way which, hopefully for me, I found it a bit more interesting to follow and try and dissect certain parts and hopefully build upon certain things.
It was definitely interesting that without the whole Lauking coughing subplot, so it was definitely a different direction.
Yeah, especially how someone would react, even if they haven't been trapped in SAO, how would they react to someone acknowledging they're from Laughing Coffin, saying that the only thing you've heard about them is from from the survivors of SAO actually said about them. So you're not gonna, so you don't have a full perspective how bad they actually are. You only know what you've been told. So
yeah,
and currently working on a sequel for that, which is hopefully is feeling out quite well. Although to be honest, looking back at it, my God, I think my writing's got a lot better since the earlier chapters of the first one.
I think it's true for any fanfiction writer that he will look back to a chapter 11 a few months prior and see that, wow, I wrote that, I could so much better right now.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
least that's true for me.
Yeah, so that one's complete and done. You can read the entire thing from beginning to end. I might go back at some point to state a few things, but apart from that, it's basically done. So, well, it's been done for probably over a year now. And yeah, I guess that's basically it, really. It's of course, you'll be able to find it on the fanfiction website, but I may consider uploading it to the AO3 as well.
Let's put it to Wattpad.
God no.
Oh,
I mean, it'd be funny just for entertainment, but I'm not going to touch it for the time being.
We are touching it, right, Twisted?
For sure.
Just a nudge.
Right.
So yeah, that's basically my meant, and I guess trying to segue back onto Alicization.
Yeah.
Which I thought of a good way, because we haven't really talked about in terms of the characters Kirito meets on the way. We've talked about a little bit, but then there's the main one which is included, and that's Alice.
Yeah.
We don't call her that. We call her Budget Saber.
Yes.
Discount Saber.
Yes. Discount Saber.
Walmart Saber.
Walmart Saber. That's
Proto Saber.
Hey Beyor, what's good?
What's good? Yeah, that's
I have not seen Fate, therefore I have to disagree with this assessment.
That's fair.
I haven't seen Fate, so I have no opinions, but I will follow your lead. Discount Saber.
Hang on, I'll just quickly get the comparisons up. Hang on.
Do not be a sheep. Do not be a sheep.
Do not be a sheep.
I'm not a sheep. I'm a dog.
Have your own thoughts.
I'm a dog.
Have your own thoughts here. Think for yourself, man. Be independent.
I will think for myself, and I actually watch Fate. That won't be today.
You should honestly watch Fate if you have the time, because it is a pretty damn good show. Especially Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night and Limited Blade Works are really good. And then the movies get a little bit confusing, but the animation is so miles above anything else that it's just, I would say it's definitely worth watching if you like. Of course,
I will definitely will watch it, but I'm first want to finish Sword Art Online, JoJo, and
JoJo as well.
I'm on part 4 right now, so
part 4. Part 6 has just been announced. Yeah,
Stone Ocean or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, Stone Ocean.
Yeah, it looks great. I haven't seen anything of JoJo apart from part 1, and I know that I need to watch Stardust Crusaders and on, but I just haven't gotten to it.
You have to watch part 2.
Yeah, I know, Stardust Crusaders. I know I need to watch it.
No, Battle Tendency. Battle Tendency.
Part 2 is why have I completely forgot what it's called now?
So what is Stardust Crusaders? Is that part 3?
Part 3,
That's
yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's when the stands are introduced. Part 2 is more, yeah.
Come on.
Part 2, what's that called?
That's with the
Pillar
Pillar
Man.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Part 2 is Filament. Part 3 is Stardust Crusaders. Part 4 is the
Diamond.
Diamond Dogs.
Diamond.
Diamond
Diamond Unbreakable.
Yes.
Part 5 is Italian Mafia.
Yeah, that's Giorno.
I'm Joe Giovanni, and I have a dream.
Yeah, I need to get caught up on this, man.
Everyone's gangster until the piano plays.
Yeah, exactly.
And then part 6 is Stone Ocean.
Yeah, I need to get caught up because I've literally I've heard that the first part of JoJo is kind of boring, and then it just gets better and better.
That's a little boring, but not really bad. I think I enjoyed it, but Battle Tendencies really where it shines for me.
Yeah, Battle Tendency part 2 Battle Tendency. That's when it really starts picking up. But if you want the full story, you start with part 1.
Yes, it's just 20 episodes, I think. Oh no, 12 episodes.
12,
it's not really bad.
Well, anyway, I'm not here to derail the conversation, but it was I need to get around. I need to watch JoJo.
Yes, do it.
But yes, anyway,
back to Sword Art Online.
Yeah, discount Saber. I mean,
yeah, discount Saber.
You're just comparing the designs, and there is a lot of similarities between them. Just change the grey to gold, and you're already like 3/4 of the way there. But that's my personal opinion.
I will not stand for this level of disrespect right now.
I mean, it doesn't mean
I shall not stand for it.
It doesn't mean as the character by themselves isn't good. They're still a good character. It's just I see.
Do you like Saber, Lance?
I don't know who that is.
No, I mean, sorry. I meant Alice. You like Alice? That was actually not intentional.
It was instinct.
It was literally instinct. Do you like Alice?
Yes.
Okay, you like.
I think she's a good character. Yes. A bit on the weird side, but
Yeah.
that's because she had her mind wiped and changed.
Yeah. No, I agree with you that Alice probably has one of the better character arcs throughout Alicization. Kirito doesn't have one because he never grows.
But that's more War of the Underworld territory. So again,
yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything about it. It's just I will admit that she has one of the best character arcs in.
The fact that we keep bringing up War of the Underworld and then saying, "Look, we're not going to talk about it."
Yeah, I know, but it's like it's difficult to talk about the first season when you've seen the second as well, because you kind of want to drag it in and okay, so this is relevant because this happens here.
But it doesn't help that entirety of Alicization ends on a cliffhanger.
No, exactly.
It doesn't help at all.
That cliffhanger was pain because I watched this shit seasonally, so it was pain when that shit hit because I was like, oh man.
That's why I waited when it came out.
I just finished watching it this afternoon. It's like this can't be the end. It can't be. Oh, it is.
The thing is, I watched Alicization as it came out. I watched it with my friends, the ones I mentioned before, when we went to Comic-Con to see the first episode. I sat and watched it with them as it came out, but then I didn't watch War of the Underworld until after it was already finished.
Okay, so yeah.
So I don't know why. I think the first half of it I wasn't even aware it was airing, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll just wait for the Hail Hanger to come out.
Because originally, I remember when they first announced that they were doing an anime of Alicization, I was like, okay. And then they said that it's going to be 53 episodes, and I was like, holy shit, it's going to be long. And then I thought that they were just going to continuously do 53 episodes, sort of like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So that we would but then they were like, no, we're splitting it up into 3 parts, and I was like, oh, please.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like a 3-year process to watch Alicization seasonally the way I did. So yeah, no, it was an interesting 3 years.
Yeah.
Of pain.
Someone we can, but someone. So you wanted to talk about someone who had a good character arc. Someone who we can talk about that had a good character arc is Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yes.
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 Too bad he's dead.
I have to say,
this man had more character development in like a book than everyone else had combined across the entire series.
I have one thing to say. I like his character, but there's one thing that I can't forgive. That it's not my boy Klein. Because it should have been my boy Klein.
I mean, I can see why Klein got. I think Klein in Alicization he got the role of driver because he's in one episode and he drives Asuna to the docks. that's Klein's progression in this.
He has now progressed to taxi driver.
If he
He's
needed more Klein.
Exactly.
Are you trying to say you want Klein to take the role of Yu-Gi-Oh in Alicization?
No, I mean it would have.
Don't kill Klein. No, don't kill him.
No, it's Yu-Gi-Oh.
That gives me an idea.
No.
Yu-Gi-Oh works so well because I honestly wasn't expecting Reki to do that because as far as I know, he's never actually, killed a creature ever. A main character apart from Sachi, who was like she wasn't even a main character because she was there for 2 minutes and then she died. So
she was made to be killed.
Yeah, she was literally made to be killed the episode after. So it was like okay. So, but it was just like getting to see that he actually did that and went ahead with it was actually very surprising, and so it left a deeper impression on me than it usually would have if I'd seen it in a better show.
Yeah.
Would you like something to eat for lunch?
Oh.
What would you like to eat for lunch?
Okay.
I would like a jam sandwich for lunch.
Yes. I'd like chicken
noise.
Sandwich or a bagel.
I'll take a cheese toast.
Maybe I should admin mute him.
Lunch first.
Who is it? Talon.
It's Talon. I think he's just left his computer.
Yeah.
I muted him.
Right, someone should admin mute him, I think.
Yeah. I'll admin mute him and I'll send him a message. I'll send him a message.
Terribly sorry, old chap.
Oh.
There.
I will take my lunch with a side of quantum bread, please.
I need quantum sushi.
There we go. Yeah. No, okay.
Or even have my lunch on quantum bread.
True. Quantum spread on my bread.
Yes.
Quantum spread on my bread.
Can I have a little quantum pizza? Just for dinner.
As long as it's a superposition.
Okay, let's go to Not Klein. That's my name for him. Not Klein. Okay.
Apparently he's back now. I asked him if he wanted to be unmuted. So he's typing. Oh, okay. He said just keep me muted since my entire family's in the kitchen with me. All right. We'll get. Oh, wait, he's back. Yeah, now he's surrendering.
I don't think that's him. Yeah.
Bitch gone. He gone.
He gone.
He gone. I don't know how he actually. I didn't unmute him, so I don't know how he. Whatever.
You can unmute yourself.
Oh, you can. Can you unmute?
Yeah, but he's server muted, so I don't think we can do it. We can do it ourselves.
He's got well, he probably will because he's got admin rights.
Admin on this particular bit of the server.
This channel, yeah.
Ooh,
Okay,
I will use this power to hell.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just turn it off himself. All right. Well, anyway, back to Alicization. Yeah, no, I like Yu-Gi-Oh. I agree with you here, Len.
Yeah.
I wish his character design was a little bit different, but apart from that, yeah, I like him.
It reminds me of myself because I have blonde hair and blue eyes. So I was like, oh yes, and then he died, and I was like, oh, okay.
Twisted is killed.
Exactly. I was
Does
like,
he still remind you of yourself?
yeah, I was like, yeah, exactly. I was, oh, I wish.
But I like his character. I said my only problem is Klein is Kirito's best mate, not you, Joe.
Klein was, I think, fucking Reki intended originally when he first wrote the first chapter of SAO. I think he wanted Klein to be Kirito's best mate, but the way he has been written since has kind of just been like he's just there harassing women.
I don't care. My headcanon is that Klein is Kirito's best mate.
Yeah, like I kind of wish he spent some more time developing that relationship, but you know, it is what it is.
Let's face it. Yu-Gi-Oh can't exactly be his best friend anymore, can he?
No, exactly. True.
I mean,
No.
yeah. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, difficult for Yu-Gi-Oh to do much now.
Because he's dead.
About Klein, it reminds me that today I just read Beyor's Ironclad but different, and I really liked how he portrayed Klein, that he's still Klein, but he is not that one-dimensional. And I would like a Klein like that in canon.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One of the greatest regrets I have regarding my own stories is the way I did Klein in the Swordsman Chronicles. Because like I gave him more of a personality, but it isn't much of one. And I kind of wish I'd given him even more of a focus, which I am considering giving him from now on.
I have the same thing because in my Sword Art Online version Vongola, I have Klein appears from time to time as a support character of sorts, but I really didn't give him the time that he really deserves. So
yeah,
I'm planning it to, and along with Kirito, because in my story, Kirito is also a character that I really didn't use because I was focused too much on my main character. So, Hand Scientist 2020.
Yeah. No, I'll yeah, I agree with you. I definitely need to do Klein more justice as well in my own story. But yeah, no.
Are you trying to tell me that you complain about Klein not being used enough and then don't use him enough in your own story?
Exactly. Like I use him way more than canon though. I use him way more than canon.
Yeah, me too.
But he's just still, I haven't given him enough. I haven't given him enough to work with, and I kind of want to develop that relationship because I also have an OC that is not the main character, that is like a side character, and I feel like I've spent more time with him in my story than I have with Klein.
Yeah.
So
because the thing with original characters is you need to build them up.
Yeah.
If you're using, I know he doesn't exactly have much of a personality, but he's still got somewhat of a personality. People still know who he is.
Yeah.
They know what he's about, even if it changes constantly.
Yeah. Which is a struggle, especially when you're writing a more of a heavily based OC story, which is kind of what I seem to keep doing somehow. But it's if you have to make all the characters feel like they should be there, they're not tagged on just for the fun of it, or they seem too out of place. They need to fit in with not only the story but the wild as well.
Yeah.
I just stay away from OCs, to be honest with you. Apart from this one story that we're writing as a I tend to just stay away from them.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, I don't really like writing OC centric stories either. I would much rather take the main character and turn him into my OC. You know, just take Kirito and turn him OC.
SAO approach.
The classic SAO approach, but it's I don't really use them too much in my own stories.
Well, I only used one original character so far, and I basically made him to be a mentor that I can kill later. And I'm finally at the point where I can finally kill him.
Finally,
I waited long enough.
Opening up.
How far in?
Exactly.
How far in are you to your story?
Me?
Yes.
I'm doing the Ironclad arc, so I'm around. Right now they are doing the 27th boss raid, and at the same time my main character and that original character are reading a raid on Laughing Coffin's base, and that's where he will die. So
Okay.
What I
So
meant
you're
was,
just like-
sorry, I should have been more specific. What I meant was, how many chapters of this story have you released?
17. Technically 18, but one chapter was basically me doing writing a kind of opening for it that really people didn't like, so 17.
Ah, right.
See, that's the
Understandable.
crazy thing,
That's
though.
a
See,
shame.
this is the crazy thing is that you have 18 or 17 chapters, and then you have 153,000 words or 154,000 words, which is wild to me.
Yeah, me with my 10,000
Yeah, you
average
have
chapters.
you're the dude with 10,000 words per chapter, aren't you?
Well,
Jesus.
to be honest, it's more like I have a few 18,000.
Wait, seriously, 18,000 words.
I just don't have the attention span
No,
to read
same,
that
to be
long.
honest. I can't write that long. Like once I see the word count approaching 4,000, I get this like physical reaction where it's like I need to publish this. And
I've
it's
never tried to get that far, so I've no idea if I could. But I just, from what I gather, most people prefer to read shorter chapters.
yeah, shorter chapters that are published frequently. But then again, if you're able to write long chapters and publish frequently, then people are obviously going to enjoy it.
I think
Go ahead,
once a month is very frequent, and we are talking about me, who wrote the Star Wars prologue, 11,000 words long. A prologue.
Yeah, I haven't actually read that yet, but I've been wanting to get around to it.
But on the other hand, we are writing together our collaboration fanfic, and I'm doing the original fic for my character. I'm not even halfway down, and I'm over 6,000 words.
Yeah, that's only because you're focusing on a different character's backstory.
Sinon, sniper rifle. I'm focusing on sniper rifle.
Exactly. You're writing your own origin chapter, but like more than half of it has been spent talking about somebody else.
Well, to be fair, I always do that.
Always going off topic.
Yes, and I
Indeed.
always
Yeah.
end up writing a lot about other characters instead of the ones that I should focus. And yeah, it gets away from me. And in the end, before I see it, I'll end up in 12,000 long chapters. And as I said, my longest one is 18,000.
I can't
It's
even
like
think.
18,000 is like 5 chapters for me. Or 4.
That was the entirety of my first book.
Oh my god.
18,000 words.
Yeah, I remember when I wrote my very first SAO story when I was 13 years old, 8 years ago or something. The entire story ended up at like, I don't know, 25,000 words max, and that felt massive to me back then. I was like, no one is going to bother reading this 25,000 word long story.
The funny thing
I'd spent 4 years reading stories before I wrote my own one, and they were long ones. So when I finished at 17,000, I was like, I could probably write more, but I can't be bothered.
It's funny because in Sword Art Online version 1, I think I started around 3 or 4,000 long chapters, and it lasted around 3 chapters. And then I ended up in the other end of the horse, and 10, 12,000 became the norm.
Yeah.
And it's my first story, so it's just me trying to find the best amount.
Yeah.
Kind of a segue. Speaking of people writing stories,
Panzer,
There we go.
the time has come.
we have our final story snippet, the one that makes the most sense.
Because it's actually on Alicization.
Yes,
Let's go.
we have our very own Game Master's story.
Oh, wait, I've lost it.
Wait,
Has anyone
is it-
read this?
Is it Alicization and
Yes.
Perpetuity?
Yeah.
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 Perpet.
It's This is Grafian's story, the owner of the Discord. He writes he writes predominantly Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night stuff. But he has also written quite a bit for Sword Art Online. The story is pretty popular, but he is professional at hiatus. So he will usually, spend a good half a year writing a chapter. So if you're looking to tune in, as it is ongoing, I would recommend to wait a little bit so you can stock up some chapters. Ideally, like 2 years, because then you'll have like 4 10K word long chapters to read.
Yeah,
So it's a very good story though.
I think I will finish catching up to Retard before I start that story.
It's a very good story though. So like I would recommend it.
It's a rewrite, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a rewrite of one of his older works.
Yeah. So, Panzer, take it away.
Yes. Right. Just find it. Okay. Well, sorry, my mouse does a really annoying thing where I try and scroll up and then it proceeds to scroll down, so it takes a bit longer than I should to actually get to the place.
I want to apologize because I didn't read this story and I just briefly read through the first chapter to find a good snippet. So if it's bad, sorry, not my fault.
Well, to be fair, Count was supposed to give it to us, but he never got back to us, so we've been left our own devices here.
We summoned the Count.
I'm sure he has his reasons for not, but anyway.
Of course.
After just over another 10 minutes, her brother and Alice were once again standing in their respective starting positions opposite each other, both heavily panting from the exertion. So, my pronunciation is awful, but had been staring with wide eyes and an open mouth for the last 8 of them. She had to admit, Alice was skilled. She had long since given up on the idea that she could beat the girl herself. The blonde-haired knight used a style that very reminiscent of some two-handed sword skills from LAO, but far more fluidly and trained than she had thought possible. She once again had to remind herself Alice had essentially been indoctrinated for years to become a warrior priestess, a holy knight. And she over her brother he was fighting at what looked to be his best, giving it his all, and crazy enough, matching his opponent strike for strike. The scary focused stare in his eyes and the grin of pure excitement at such a duel that both were just visible through his mask, as well as his razor-sharp techniques and his surprising dexterity. All reminded her of Kirito, the Black Swordsman, as he fought when his life was on the line. Not like her brother Kazuto's mostly lackluster efforts at kendo. She had been told a little bit about who Alice was, and she knew she had cared for her brother while he was in comatose, but he should have no memories of that, and they only knew each other for one day before that, right? What happened during that day, and what weren't they telling the rest of them? Who exactly was this girl, and that she draws out everything he has, pushing him to his limit just in a simple spar. As she was thinking about her brother and Alice, she almost missed it when they both shot forward, straight for each other, and she blinked a few times at the fast movement. She found them both standing motionlessly again. They were both practically frozen in place. Surprised expressions on their faces. With wide eyes, she started muttering, "Hentai? What is it? An anime?"
Nice.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice work.
Marvel.
I'm really interested in this story, so I will get to read it once myself.
It's a good story. I like it a lot. And
It
that's
sounds
also
pretty good just from that. And yet again, another fine addition to my endless reading list. 402.
Yes. A really, really, really long collection.
I just had a look at the chat, and Angry Nain just trying to summon count.
And Chuck Norris supports me.
Count, we summon you, bound in blood.
No, I don't need
I don't
that
think he's gonna
another
show
Grim
up.
Dark episode. I'm still having trouble sleeping.
If you're gonna summon count, you should do it 3 hours in advance. Then you'll see the message. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
He works on a different time schedule than most other people. The weirdest boner. Thank you for that. Brilliant.
All right, Beyor.
All right, and I need to know why. All right. Well, fair enough. Anyway, let's loop this shit back around to Alicization, which we've been attempting to do for the past 2 hours. Alicization. Yeah. Oh, right. Fuck. We have a character. We have a character spotlight that we haven't even talked about.
Yes.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Spider. Best spider.
Yes. There's a tiny spider that belongs to Cardinal, and this
she
spider
will become big.
Yes, and she is, according to the novel, she is 5 millimeters in size, which means Kirito would not be able to see her.
Wow.
But
5 millimeters?
yeah, he wouldn't be able to see shit.
Nice.
Not too much detail.
Have you ever seen 5 millimeter graphite mechanical pencils?
Yes.
It's the especially thin ones. Like that is how small. That is how small Charlotte is.
Yeah, she is tiny.
The thing is, you wanted this as a character spotlight, right? Where the character spotlight we decided was for characters who aren't on screen as much or deserved more. Yet Charlotte is on screen pretty
But we
much
can't
throughout
see
the entire
her.
series.
But we can see her, and we don't even learn about her around the middle of the season.
Yeah, it's.
And she's best spider.
Want to know more about the spider?
Best spider.
So, Charlotte worked as an observer. She was placed on Kirito to watch after him by Cardinal. And her duty was to observe and not interfere. And it was also believed for a long time that she did not possess any kind of emotions or had any sort of interest in the people that she was observing.
Yeah, but she was almost 200 years old. So
yeah, she was super old and all that. But then, as it sort of approached the end, and she fights, she pops up to fight Administrator during the final battle. It turns out that she had actually developed feelings, not in the it's Kirito, so probably in the romantic way. Kirito.
I can't unsee that. Unsee that.
I mean, it was probably
going between species. Jesus.
Yeah, a man is bridging the species gap with his big dick energy.
Interspecies reviews, anyone?
Yeah, literally interspecies reviews. Yeah.
Oh god, not that.
So yeah, and she helps him fight against the Administrator, weakens her, and then dies.
No,
if I remember correctly.
No, I want to write a freak where basically interspecies reviews, but SAO edition.
Oh no!
Oh, just on the note of Cardinal, real quick. I found it so funny when she died because she gets blasted and it's on her bed, so all you see is her foot, and then it slowly pans back, and that's all that's left. Just standing.
Gone, reduced
Food fetish match.
Hit with the quantum.
Quantum food. Quantum feet.
Yeah.
One thing I will say, especially towards the finale as well, is everyone's bleeding to death, but like for a long time. It's like these people should be dead within 5 minutes of how much blood they're losing. But no, they can go on and on about how much of a great journey they've had and why they Kirito should push forwards. And it's like, dude, you've been bleeding to death for the last like half an hour. How are you still alive?
I would also like to point out that Yujo is quite literally cut in half, and yet the man continues to live for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And just like talking openly with Kirito. And they have this friendship speech. Kirito's like, please don't die. And then the administrator is just standing there, watching them. And then Yujo turns into a sword.
I thought he froze his wound.
He did.
No,
Yeah.
the blood.
He froze his wound, so he technically stopped losing blood.
So then it actually makes sense.
If you think about it, in Star Wars they did the same. Darth Maul got cut in half, and then he somehow survived, and he had robot legs. We should have given Yugo robot legs.
What I was trying to get across.
Well, the difference was that Darth Maul wasn't in danger of bleeding to death.
Yeah, lightsaber.
So, trying to find.
Had he been chopped in half in episode 4, then yeah, he'd probably have bled to death. But
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, they may have blood, but basically their life points, the durability, it may be that it's insanely high, and even if they are bleed for hours, they don't reach 0. So who knows? Game logic.
That is true. And Darth Maul also didn't turn into a sword. That then got destroyed.
I want to see that. Darth Maul was a sword.
Yeah, exactly. That was actually I am kind of ashamed to admit it, because I was like I was actually kind of hyped when I was watching the finale of Alicization. I was actually kind of feeling the momentum, but then Yujo turns into a sword, and I just couldn't help myself. I had to laugh.
Solito, anyone?
Yeah, it was just too funny, because it happened out of nowhere. I was not expecting it at all. It just turns into a sword, and I'm like, bruh.
best boy becomes best sword.
That's like in the end of the Solitaire anime, where basically they took over what the manga did, and they basically made mecha into a weapon.
Yeah.
That's
What frustrates me is that he was killed so that Kirito could dual wield.
Yeah, that's also kind of a rip moment.
That's funny, but because it took 24 episodes this time before Kirito dual wielded. That's never happened before.
And the thing about the underworld, right, is that your attacks and stuff powers up the more you're imagining. The stronger your imagination is, the more powerful your attacks and your weapons and stuff like that becomes. So basically, in that final fight, when Kirito is he turns into his SAO avatar and stuff, that's really just Kirito imagining himself being really cool when he's fighting Administrator. That's really funny to me. Him just role playing so hard that his clothes literally appear.
Yes. That's basically Kirito self-inserting himself inside a power fantasy.
Yeah. Kirito is wait, I am the power fantasy, and then he just goes all out.
That's like a triple isekai so far. Isekai.
Yeah, it was a moment, but I still overall enjoyed the finale to the first season. It was okay, it's better than most other SAO stuff we've gotten so far, so I'll take it. I'll definitely take it.
Anything after Fairy
I'll take it, even if it is Kirito imagining himself being cool, I'll take it.
I have to admit, that looked cool.
It looked cool, and it was very well animated.
It may have been my inner 12-year-old, but it looked cool.
Yeah, it was very well animated.
Sword Daemon.
Yeah, they're basically the final boss things. By the way, they should combine all these weapons together and just build an abomination which can destroy absolutely anything you throw at us.
Wasn't that called Sword Golem? I think it was Golem, right? No?
Yeah, I want one.
Sword Golem.
Yeah.
Yes, I want one.
I think
exactly.
I think they tried to recreate SAO's 75th boss with swords.
Yeah, pretty
yeah.
Reaper Sword Edition.
School Reaper with swords. With golden swords.
As we all know, painting things gold makes it 10 times better.
Exactly.
Yes.
Just looks cooler because it's gold. It says on the wiki that
So
Charlotte
it
had the
also
voice.
makes people call you a rip-off of someone else, don't they?
Yeah.
You're painting
Perhaps.
gold.
Wait, what if
Perhaps.
we are replacing Kirito's black coat with a gold coat? No? Anyone?
What?
Kirito, instead of black swordsman, he should have become the golden swordsman.
Yeah.
Alice takes that title.
Oh, right. But
She
she's
has
woman.
the full
She's
gold
swordswoman.
Yeah, true. She's Swordswoman.
Golden swordsman and swordswoman. Who needs Asuna? There's no
Exactly.
wife. It's only waifu.
Exactly. I fucking even Alice had more believable character interaction with Kirito, and she only knew Kirito for a day.
Less than a day.
In less than a day in the anime, and it's like, man, it's just depressing to think about. You know how dirty they did Asuna.
Well, if you think about it, Kirito and Sinon also didn't know each other for long, and they basically opened their souls to each other.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, there's a lot of
And
the side characters are better
I was just
than
watching the whole thing that they embrace, and I was thinking, oh, Kirito-kun.
exactly. Hey, at least Yujo got the bang before he died. You know.
Twisted, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say this, but the harem argument from War of the Underworld.
Yeah.
I'm a little lost. And
You will know when you trust me. You will know when you get to it, and you will know how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
But
looking forward to this.
So, do we have anything else to say about this before we wrap up?
I think we covered most interesting things. The animation was very good. I was really impressed with it. Despite the slightly different style than the previous seasons. So, that's me.
Yeah, and the music was good. I agree with you here, Bear.
Yeah,
the music was.
Yeah. I really liked the first opening really much.
Yeah.
That was a banger.
Yeah, the first one, the first opening, I preferred over the second one, but both of them were still really good.
Yeah.
It was some good. It was some good openings. The music was good. The animation was good. It obviously had an insanely high production, but like it had a high budget, which they really put to a good use.
It's like they know that they had to do this art justice.
Exactly. Yujo took home the real W by banging Administrator and then dying. I'd say that's a power move.
Yes.
He took home the real bag here. He took the W.
MVP right there. Yeah.
I liked it. It was a pretty decent. It was way better than I was expecting it to be when I first saw it unveiled.
Yeah, and I finally understand what you were talking about when you said purple Asuna.
Yeah, exactly. Purple Asuna. That is Administrator. Even in
no
Administrator has more personality than Asuna though, so it's technically Asuna who's ginger Administrator.
That's a real. I like it.
Makes it for clothing, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Fan service. Everyone deserves a little fan service.
I really want to know what Reki was thinking when he wrote Administrator. He's like, I'll have her, but it'll be Asuna with purple hair, and she'll be nude.
My hair is my clothes.
And then she uses her right arm as a sword.
Just have some really strategically placed hair when we animate this shit.
Look at my quantum purple hair.
Yeah.
On the electrodynamic spectrum.
Right. So, does anyone have anything else to add?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
I think
most things anyway.
Yeah. I think I've covered my piece.
Right, well, I shall do the honours of wrapping this up the same way I started it. Podcast, thank you, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye guys.
Bye, guys. It was an honor and a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Very.